He's not. We're good.
Is that good?
Yes.
Good evening. We're reconvening the Ocean Highway 440 meeting for November 12th, 2025. At this time, will please stand for invitation led by Commissioner Mike Cole, followed by the pledge.
First Heavenly Father, Lord, we give thanks. Our name is many work. The thanks for the great country that we live in. We also thank you for our leaders. You will give you the right practices for us, and that we would do the same in terms of our county. Thank you for your also for your prayer for making also that you are good news and pray that you continue to be with one of our first responders and service training and word. Ask all this in Jesus' name.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for one nation under God.
Commissioner Moore,
Here.
Commissioner Hill, Secretary Treasurer Cole, Vice Chair Nelson,
Here.
Chair Taylor. You have a quorum. Thank you.
I want to welcome all of our guests. We have some new faces in here, so thank you for being here. I want to take a moment, and I'm not going to wait too much, but I just want to announce the vice chair and also being here. And I'm very glad to have you here. And I think you might have some recognition you'd like to make.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Tonight, I have some special guests here tonight. And I want to introduce and install my wife, Laura. Thank you for coming. My daughter, Megan Knox, and my grandson, Jackson Ray Johnson. So thank you all for coming. These are my support group right now. They have it for many, many years. So I thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd also like to thank the Board of Commissioners. During these past few weeks, I have had their trial times, but we're making progress. And when I came into the hospital, I walked into the kitchen and there was a big bouquet of flowers from this group of people. It meant a lot to me. Well wishes, the prayers. I do appreciate the kind words, concerns. So, Commissioners, thank you. And the staff, Tammy Bob, Rosanna, thank you for what you do. So, I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And thank you all for being here and supporting. Public comments, items not on the agenda. Agenda speaker part or an agenda item. Approval of minutes for October 8th, 2025 and the October 22nd, 2025 workshop. You can take these as a whole or individual. Or do you have any changes or comments, questions? We have a motion from Commissioner Cole, second from Commissioner Bill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Tab 9, OHPA attorney reports. Ms. Bob.
Yes. So this is the memo that I sent to everybody after our October 22nd workshop. And it just puts, it just kind of restates what we talked about at the meeting. And so I didn't have anything further to report on. I am still working on the facility use fee. In line with my talking with Amy Polson, the attorney for Savage that I've been dealing with, that I will continue to talk with her about the facilities fee because I think that we're there. There's no disagreement that 25% of the fee comes back to OPA, but that OPA, then that is OPA's got the obligation of paying the proper insurance. So we need to figure out what those numbers are. I don't know that I have seen a calculation of that yet. And so that is, I'm working on that. Other than that, I think we had some good discussions about grants and we're going to work on that moving forward.
I believe the calculation of insurance. It's just a little bit complicated. We have a lot of, policies.
Yep.
I just wanted to be really clear about it, so they're kind of pulling the plug.
Okay.
Now I'll give you a second. I have to those.
I don't think there's a big sticking point on the facility use fee and the property insurance.
Okay.
The other thing that we talked about was there's a $50,000 fee that is really a one-time fee that was never paid by the predecessor, needs to be paid. And we'll get that. The other is we're collecting it now. There's the annual fee that's like 200, I'm just as rough, $206,000 from the operator to OPA for operations that we get paid monthly. But in addition to that is $5,000 a month. That's all being paid. So there's nothing other than the facility use fee. And I think the new tariff, that portion of the tariffs that was set in 2022.
17 cents a ton.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Have we received those, Rosanna?
No.
That we have not received the tariff money. So, and today when I was talking with Amy Polson, we'll work that out. She said for me, Rosanna, to get with Ted, it's fine that she's not on the call or anything if we need to work that kind of a thing out. So I don't really see any sticking point other than the money needs to start coming to us as it should, but that there's no disagreement right now on what has to be paid.
Any questions? All right. David, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Tab 10, the OPA County Report, Fair Reports, is not here this evening. Did a financial report, I assume everybody had time to review it, look at it. There's a discussion among the board members. I'm sure you'll have the opportunity to consider the meeting. Great. Tab 11, core operating report. Ted, good.
Yeah, so apologies, we had some stuff out and it was just, I thought it had been sent, but it's happened. Is everybody in receipt of what got sent out today?
You have the tonnage report. It was
So
full.
I can just kind of verbalize it. We had another really good month. Total tons 34,000. So that's trending up from our what was a lull in July and August. Really happy to report that. Wood pulp was the kind of the outlier. We got a ton of wood pulp in, 24,000 tons to be exact. Containers have leveled off a little, which is to be expected during the holiday season. Less tourists going to Bermuda. See if there's any other plywood, hardboards about right where it has been, and so yeah, we had 9 vessel port calls. Some of those are pretty quick stays. But pretty proud of the group. It's just I was pretty worried there for July and August were definitely down, and we're getting back to a normal trend if you look back, starting from January. Let's go to the bottom right. That was
Which one?
now go to the bottom right for the plus sign.
Do you see it? Cause I can't see it.
Let's see, I think happy, see Tom Foster, but, so. Total funds are just, I couldn't really. Sorry, total funds. So we're back, yes, total tons 34,281. And, you know, if you look at a trend line, we're back to what I would consider normal volumes, yes. It's a good thing.
Yeah. Or any comments, questions? Yeah, Ted, any updates to facilities, report, any updates to, repairs?
No, I would just add that, you know, the Clyde crane is, the boom is been cut. They're actively working on it now. The counterweights are off, so those are the two hardest items. And now she should come down, the rest of her, she should come down pretty quick. You'll probably notice that Commissioner Nelson will know, towards the north end, there was an old welding tent, a bunch of junk there. We were waiting to clean that up. That's all gone because they were taking that in one fell swoop because it's, I guess, a little bit of scrap value. So all that stuff's cleaned up. Along with some old containers, we've got cleaned up too. So we're making headway there. But I don't know when the crane will be down. We'll really, you know, when the high winds are out, we try not to let them torch too much because the last thing I want is an air spark going towards the shrimp boat or another property. So high winds, we're stand down. But I'm guessing the next 2 weeks, worst case, the crane will be done.
Any questions regarding facilities? And Ted, for the business forum in the last meeting, we discussed over the possible opportunity, that you're working on, the long-year labor thing. Is there any discussion for like continue having regarding that, or Ted, you have anything to offer, or?
I think it's, you know, I'm going to continue to bid on it. I guess we'll see. Um,
Or questions? Comments?
So this is not the same opportunity that you had in NDA.
This is same exact.
Yeah, so I'll to like have a signal to do with that and as when sign NDA. And if other commissioners wanted to do the same, I think Commissioner Steve was also interested. Could we get a copy of the NDA and come and see whatever proposal we're
yeah, I'll give it to him.
Okay. And I think that's just in the operator that says that we would work together with any business. And that's all, it's just, we would expect to know enough information about the proposal so that we can work together to determine, you know, what agreement should be in place, if it's new addition business or if it's the same. You know, we just want enough information to know what are the, you know, if we need to do an amendment to the agreement or what our revenue share would be. But I appreciate that you came to the board with that proposal and page, so thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not trying to make it confrontational, but I've stated my, you know, my stance is that it's ordinary revenue. It's just in a different fashion. I don't think it's anything new, but we can discuss that.
Thank you, Ted.
Like one other item. So, all right. So, so you know, this venture that operates the terminal has always been a co-venture. As of last week, Savage's 50% ownership share has been purchased by the other 50%. So, just wanted to let everybody know, this is not a new entity. Ridgewood Infrastructure was always the other half of the joint venture, and they have acquired Savage's portion. So, in essence, Relay is now independent. There's no bad blood with Savage at all. They just are going to focus on other areas of the portfolio. As you know, they're a large multinational corporation. And, but they are heavy in marine. And so, I just wanted to notify everyone. It's not over a 50% share, of course, which would trigger, a provision of the agreement. I wanted to be transparent and there we go. Happy to field any questions.
Is there a public announcement about the transaction that shared this?
I just notified my team just a few hours ago, and I did it today so I could then tell you. So this is all brand new.
So it's relay independent, strictly independent lending of Sabbath is.
I will say that there's not a hard cutoff. We're still going to be using Savage services. It'll be a slow transition there. We still have an agreement with them. That was one big thing with me is I didn't know that Cliff. And so yeah, we are really excited. I will say this is a positive thing. We're really excited. This is going to allow us to really grow the terminal, really invest more in Fernandina. But we have moved forward as well. So that one is independent on money management. So I'm personally excited. I think it's going to open up doors for continued growth.
So the way it's explained originally was that bridge infrastructure. The infrastructure and Savage was the logistics applications. Will this impact employment agreements with any of the folks coming forward?
So you mean like the ranking hall? Yeah, so what I told them is everything's going to be a one. So we're going to do, it's going to be a pretty slow transition. Again, this isn't a cliff moment where all of a sudden tomorrow I'm all Savage's servants or anything, for instance. But this will not impact any employee. If anything, it's going to empower our employees.
So will the employees become employees?
So, Rita.
Okay, and before, really was just a grant, it was a DBA.
Yeah.
LLC or.
They still be because, because the operating agreement is, so it still will be, it's just how we follow employment will probably be through a new entity, just like it was through Savage Services.
Well, then, what my rentals currently was bought out, by Savage and Ridgewood, DBA relay, now DBA. This board at the time found out after the fact. And we requested information about the transaction, but did not receive it. And now again, I appreciate you're not putting up after the fact, so thank you. But we still have to provide the literature, we should be notified, and we should have enough information on any transaction. So that we know whether to consent or object, and we wouldn't object to that. I mean, you can see that we were somewhat concerned, we did notice the last time that we had tried to disrupt business operations, right? So it's not about things. But we would want enough information about the nature of the transactions, understand who we can business with. And so thank you for letting us know before we can have.
Yes, and I could,
But what should we expect from you? What additional information should you expect to receive about the transaction?
well, I'm happy to fill you in any way. I mean, following any questions to me. I think it's full of state. You understand that was a very different deal. That was more than 50% of the entity was purchased. 100% was without your knowledge. This is less than 50% was acquired together. So, it's a known entity that's acquired another. And B is less than 50%. But I'm happy to take any questions you have.
Yeah, we want to know how many shares or organizations do you have held, is the legal status, if it's legal, who are the beneficial owners engaged? I think we have a right to know. You know, your parent company, but I think we have a right to know who's our. Consider everything this is.
So I think there's, questions that I can. You just found out about this the second time, maybe. What effect does this have on the operators? Now we've been through three different, people that we're dealing with. It just seems to me like it's a shield. Let's move things around, we'll cover this one up and slide over here. I don't like to even hear this. I really have a problem.
And I don't have an answer because I'm not looking at it and I'm hearing about this and the percentage ownership just like you are. So I have to look into it.
This board has a big responsibility for the full funding. And for us to be made aware of something that we should have been notified through our attorney, if there was any questions or legal issues of the transaction of this, we need to stay ahead of it instead of behind it. I just, I'll leave it at that. I have a problem.
I'm concerned that, if you look at it at face value, I'm concerned that the recent transaction that, well, them into the bank, they had a share less than 50%, which did trigger the,
Relay doesn't own it's a brand.
and that's still will be,
Yeah, I'm not transferring ownership of this LC that is in this operator. I'm not doing it.
So Ridgewood, Savage, or JV. And so Ridgewood is buying out Savage's share. And Relay is always a DBA, it's always like a brand. Was
If we have any force, and that's and we're out of the trust. And so that was the whole premise of me coming up with Relay was to put it under one umbrella for multiple purposes. It's a DBA. 11.8 is the section we operate.
Yeah, so while you all are messing around with like branding and names, if you are with brands, I'm just on file, but I'll tell you more about it. The ports in the state of Florida are all called out in the Florida statutes as public ports, and this is the port part. And you can call it Nassau Terminals, and you can call it Relay, and you can talk about Savage and Bridgewood, which are entities. But if you're talking about branding, it'll be the Port Authority.
Sure.
Okay, so what I'm gonna call Port Authority, and these commissioners can call Port Authority because it's all four statutes, and it's a public port. And so if you're gonna market it and brand it, you feel free to brand your operations and what you do as an operator, if you wish. But I guess it's the important.
Totally agree.
And for this transaction, I mean, I think this board has a right, again, who the beneficial owner are of the business. We have a right to, an assurance by your company that the level of service will continue. Agents of the company, have an operating agreement are gonna remain unchanged, the level of service is gonna remain unchanged. And then we're gonna be kept apprised of the transition, but I think for, stock changes, ownership changes, as long as you're gonna commit to a level of service and, and maintain the staff. I think we would support whatever you need to do to get your operations, squared away and to run your business. I don't foresee this being an issue with stock sale. You have to remain nimble. And so, I respect that. We're not taking the same business risks that you all are, so, look forward.
And this is a positive thing. There's no reduction in headcount. my aim is to grow cargo through the port.
Any other questions? Thank you, thanks, Ed. Another old business, tab 12A with the fabric warehouse, actually go back to that. So there's been, with the city's requesting some engineering.
So the city gave us, afforded to Rosanna the list of items we needed. So right off the rip, I got our guys in action. We pulled, so what we need is to survey, especially for the fire suppression system in both the existing and new location, like, well, really the new location for both players. It's just a shift for one. We need utilities. We found the maps, but they're not stamped. They're not current. So we, at our own cost, hired a survey company. They're out there. They're up for yesterday, today, tomorrow. We're hoping to get a preliminary survey back on Friday. That's going to set everything in motion. So then I have a survey room. So then I can go out, know where the utilities are. So then we can go out, plot out, and make sure it's all up, and then we can start the process.
But even if there's a request coming from the city, so maybe you take clients.
Yes, I can't submit anything. I can't submit drawings or plans to the city, but I don't know where the utilities. We know where they are. There's not a stamped drawing. And the last time we brought a drawing to this committee, is it a border committee or the city committee? First thing they did was saw a drawing, and they said that one's not stamped, and that one is outdated or something. So we're trying to do everything by the book. Because I mean, to be honest, they were waiting in ambush for us when we, and they were well aware of this situation. So.
Questions? Next item, the administrative office manager contract renewal with fiscal year 25 and 26. We have a secure card, Mr. Papucci.
Take your time. Take your time. Not in a hurry. Over here.
And you're fine, this person sitting right there, not.
Opportunity for my former person. I don't like, I read the contract for Rosanna. I don't like it. I'll tell you why. I don't like the fact that said 14 days. In my mind, it's in 14 work days, 14 calendar days. So I'd rather change that to 2 weeks. I'd rather do it in terms of notice period, 10 days from the employer. Or 140 hours worth of numbers in lieu of 10-day notice. Is that really intent? So in other words, is there a stop on day one or ones? So those are my points. Again, 2 weeks instead of 14 days, because we would have the same impact. There's no bargaining about the days, and let's basically run them up before we're terminating. So it's better to make it crystal clear. And then notice period on Rosanna's part, 14 days or 2 weeks. If it's 2 weeks, what makes it binding? Nothing in my mind. So Rosanna can tell us at the end of the meeting, I'm done. That would be if she's gone. So that it's nice to have that language in there, but it doesn't mean anything because I didn't say anything down. So it's not mine. So maybe a way to do it is some kind of retention for a 2-week notice period. So that's a consideration. Because I got the feeling that if Rosanna left tonight, this would be in a lot of trouble with finding a replacement and having the person up to speed quickly. So it's maybe some kind of retention to enforce the notice period might be worthwhile. Thank you.
You thank you, Bob. I did, do you any comments on any of your work agreement with
I am, but the last changes were what, Rosanna had discussed with OPA at the last. So they weren't my insert. I completely agree. I mean, if we're gonna put the number of days, we can put calendar days, which is the same as 2 weeks, 14 calendar days. If you remember at the last meeting when we discussed this, initially it was 30-day notice either way. And Rosanna expressed some concern with that doesn't give her, and flexibility, that she would prefer a 2-week notice. That was her proposal to the board. I didn't hear any objections to it, so that's what I put into the agreement. The 140 hours, or basically 1 month of severance, is what we also talked about at the last meeting when it came up, and that was at Rosanna's request, that should this board, only if this board without pause asked Rosanna to leave, the chances of us actually having her work out and another 2 weeks or 1 month, it is unlikely. Usually that's when you're done and everybody needs to cut ties. And that's where, in lieu, if we told her, we need you to go, instead of giving notice, we would pay the 1 month of severance. And that wasn't my proposal. That's just what she asked from the board. And again, I didn't hear objections to that. I will say on Pierre's behalf, though, he's not here tonight, he would object to, and he did object to, any severance because of the experience that we had with our last court director. So it's there between you and Rosanna. Rosanna has asked for that. And that's what I wrote in the agreement. I know that Commissioner Hill looked at the agreement and made some changes. Is that what is up here tonight?
No, because I sent everyone's to you here.
Okay. I have it.
On Thursday. And my objection was just that this language, I thought that the 140 hours was only if OPA terminated, not if Rosanna quit.
That's my intention.
To me, it's as if like that 3 hours is paid. And I know like it's not long, we all agree, but now that we've been through what we went through with David, he nodded along and agreed, but then he found a lawyer to argue the other way, so. Not,
Gotcha.
so the word matter, right? But if I can't, for some reason, it's not letting me open it.
So under the termination by either party without cause, then, and I agree with that, to make it clearer, it right now says either the employer or employee may terminate at any time by providing 14 business days prior written notice. I can change that to calendar days, to make it exactly 2 weeks. And then Commissioner Hill added, if termination by employer is without cause as defined herein, OPA may provide payment of 140 hours of employee's base salary to employee in lieu of the immediate preceding notice. So in other words, if they're, instead of notice, that the board would pay 1 month, 140 hours. Because she works 35 hours a week.
But I mean, I raised this same objection about ending it on 14 days because I would like, we would be lost. If you get 2 weeks notice, that doesn't give us time to find replacement for you. But we can't make you work. I mean, this is America.
Yeah, as I explained to Tammy before, when I found another job, I stayed until you found somebody, and I will do that. But I know you have to have it in writing. And
I
that's
mean, I think
fine.
it's good to have a notice period that allows the parties the time they think they actually need to find a replacement vendor for any service. So for anything that we are using for Tammy's time or Pierre's time, I think it's good to put in the notice period that actually aligns with like reality. And I think a month is like really short. I said 60 days. But what is the effect of that? If you had to quit immediately because of a health issue or something, we would have to figure it out. We couldn't make, you can't compel
No,
indentured servitude.
right. So even if you said, I'll give you 60 days notice and you say, you know what, I'm out right now.
Yeah.
I've got to
That's how
go.
you explained it to me.
Yeah. So it's,
We should clean it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
and that's what that's all we're left with now is the number of days notice and severance. What's your pleasure?
Do we agree with the 140 hours in the term? Correct, that was what the language was.
But that's in lieu of notice. So should, there wouldn't be any severance due if there was notice and you.
Correct, so 14 calendar days.
Mhm.
Or change to 14 calendar days, if there's no notice, but it's terminated without, well, right now, but she would get paid out 140 hours. Is that
That were right. Do you need to have
Yes, I do, because I'm a little bit,
That's what you
Not-
propose. They're not saying
I
anything
know, but in lieu
of notice.
of notice. So,
Oh, I think that she's saying that if you're terminated without cause, no matter if you have notice or not, she wants the 140,
sentence, yeah,
the 140 hours. So she has time to find another job. So it shouldn't be in lieu of notice. It should just be if we terminate, if OPA terminates her without cause, she would be entitled to 140 hours.
and 14 days. So day one, we would say your last day is 2 weeks from now. This says 14 business days, which would be,
It'll be changed to calendar days, it sounds like, yeah.
so we would be saying your last day is 2 weeks from now. In addition to that, at the last day, we're gonna pay you for time for another 30 days after the last.
And is that really what you want? Because it almost compels then 6 weeks of pay. Because if there were a bad situation where you're like, she's got to go now, then I would advise you that you had to pay her 6 weeks.
That's what we said that that's something that the judge would budget for.
Right. And I asked her how that breaks down per month. It's less than $6,000 for 6 weeks. That's just off the top of my head.
4,000.
4,000 for a month. I'm just
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
6 weeks real quick. Yeah.
so we're terminating with cause?
With
No,
causes
no
defined, it's
severance.
misconduct. So there's nothing. She's entitled to.
So, okay, so without cause, essentially 6 weeks, is what the request is.
Well, I requested 4 weeks.
She
severance
requested
pay.
4 weeks, and she would work for 2 weeks,
Mhm.
but
Or until
yeah,
they found another.
or longer.
Mr. Chairman, I would suggest that we, allow discussions to continue, that this matter be settled at the next meeting, because it still seems like there's questions and answers going on. The last thing I want to see is this going into 2026. There's no reason for that.
Mhm.
We can work this out. We all know what she means to this board and how she handles herself in our business on a daily basis. I think we can give her the benefit of the doubt. Let's get this in writing. Let's get this signed. Let's be done.
Yeah, and I just wanna say that like our interactions with Rosanna, like we have a really good rapport, but I understand that when you see what happens at other boards and there are elections and there's changing board composition. And new board members come in and they think the best thing to do is to fire and start. And I don't see things that way, so, but I appreciate your hard work and your diligence and you stuck with OPA through all different work situations, office situations, no budget. And so I'm in support of it, it's just can we pay for it? And if Pierre goes on record and says that we don't have a budget to support payment, that's where I start not getting further about it, it has nothing to do with your performance. So, do we have, we just need direction from the board because Tammy can't draft and back.
So it's a matter of, okay, so change, we agree, 14 calendar days, is her notice. Then with cause, is it?
With-
4 weeks
right.
or is it?
Right, are you willing to give a month, I mean, right, a month severance essentially, because you don't even have to think of it in 6 weeks terms, like, oh, now that's another, $1,500. If she works it, she's gonna get paid it anyway. If she doesn't work it, nobody else is gonna be sitting there in her spot in those 2 weeks, likely, so you're paying 6 weeks anyway. So it's basically, are you willing to pay a month's worth of severance or not?
So as I read it, let's see if we already clarify what notice is required for termination purposes. To me, that's not clear.
Well, there is no notice. When you're terminated for cause, you're terminated on the spot. And the termination for cause is for misconduct as defined by the statute, and it's some pretty bad stuff. So,
But it doesn't say, it just doesn't say that. So
and I can add that if it says this agreement may be terminated without notice under the following conditions by OPA. That would just be a sentence I added under number 4.
And so then with B, that's all other situations, that's 14 days plus the 140 hours.
Mhm.
But again, I want to go back to the second sentence. The 140 hours of pay should not apply at present.
Right, it's gotta be when it's, and I will make that clear. If that's the direction of the board, then I will bring the final agreement by resolution back to the board at our December 10th meeting. For December, and it'll be done.
And that was my request, is when or if the board, without cause, let me go. That's all. I do, I get severance, but if I quit, no severance.
I think that's fair. Would you be willing to give more notice of termination?
Well, Tammy and I discussed that, and if I was telling her if I found another job, I can't tell them I have to stay with OPA for 30 more days until I can start the new job. Usually 2 weeks. Yeah, that's the only reason why the 14 days. Because a new employee would say, well, no, a new employer will say, well, never mind. If we
I know,
can't have
this
you
is like
30.
so awkward when you have to talk about this stuff in public. It's just
Well,
so unnatural, but
I mean,
yeah, we all have to
it is
do it.
what it is.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I will bring back. And I'll send a draft around, before our agenda. So if anybody has major objection, they can tell me.
Yeah. The original contract did not have all of these.
No.
It was Pierre who asked to implement this termination.
Thank you, Rosanna.
Thank you.
Going on to tab 12C, RFP for the new the website. We have in front of us, I know, Rosanna, were you in on this?
Tammy and I both worked on this.
She did the bulk of it. I reviewed it and then I added a couple of things, but she did a really great job. Because I was looking for all the technical terms that I researched. She had them all in there, so.
Go.
I'm just not sure we can afford it when we put this out if we get proposals. So tonight, I think Rosanna is looking for approval to go ahead and publish this.
Because we really have to get going on this. 2027 is coming up fast.
So based on the responses that we got from our minister, I would like to ask a summary page to be submitted by each respondent, which summarizes in one page their fee structure and any other core components that we are going to include in our matrix for our evaluation. So it's fee structure and full this and experience and, think of what that third matrix, that fourth matrix, point.
We need cliff notes of your proposal.
We need executive sessions.
Yeah.
Because having hundreds, it was literally like 2,000 pages of documents to review that are PDFs. There isn't a readily available way to rank all of the responses. To make it wrong, was totally great to get that many responses.
Okay.
The only thing is, can we, how do we get proposals? Just think about this for a second, please. We have way too much information on our website. And we need to have a smaller site to manage. So how do we get proposals that are right sized to only what we have to have online for the special districts department? So can we say in RFP a website that meets the minimum requirements of 189? Chapter 189.
Like website on Ozempic or something. That's what we want. Okay. Yeah, we can say that, sure.
Well, speaking from respondents, which isn't my job, but I know, that gives them a common, that gives them a common standard to price. Because if we don't put in there exactly what we're looking for, then, they may provide, they may look at our website and say, well, to make that ADA compliant and keep it ADA compliant, all that information is going to require this amount of money, whereas somebody else may look at something completely
Okay.
different. And so
It's
we're
true.
looking at apples and oranges, but we're trying to compare prices.
Okay. I think they're very good points. That makes me think we got to run this.
That's fine.
We'll bring it back in December. Are there any other comments? Those are excellent comments, because what we would say then is that what you see now with our website is not what we want. What we want is, this is what's required. This is the excerpt from the statute. That's what we want on our website. And our agenda's, obviously published.
If we could get away with just one page, I would love that. Because if I have to do changes, then there's multiple pages that I have to go and I forget sometimes.
Got it. That helps a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
12D, compliance with section 189.064 statute, special district. This is, I know we received it this morning.
Yes.
So I guess I can go ahead.
Go for it. I'll look for
Yeah,
it.
so, we're, it's not an excuse, I'm sorry, it's so late. We're just right in the middle of budget season. And as you can imagine, it's been a bit busy. But I did, I'm pretty close to wrapping up next year's CapEx plan to be approved. So I think it's pretty accurate. And then, I wanted it to be, because I went back and looked at what was posted before. It's really just a really high level summary, kind of and so I wanted to give y'all a little bit better. Now, what I posted really is about a 3 to 4 year out, right? But I went through the whole PIPD grant. I went through the timeline and I spaced it out basis. I called it after we talked through it, because that's going to be the biggest, assuming we get it. That'll be the biggest expenditure we've probably ever had at this point. So I did take care to base that out based on the PIDP grant. And then, kind of huddled with my eyes and looked at, what we think the future needs are gonna be, and laid it out. Now, that's why I stress Rosanna, this is in draft form, but I feel pretty good about it. And can you remind me when the deadline is? That
December 1st.
December 1st, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm comfortable going with this as long as I believe this isn't something that's set in stone with the F set or dot.
Both.
Both, they're one and the same, basically.
So I don't think it's set in stone, so as long as I can make some, partial amendments to it, I feel pretty good about it.
Well, you update every year.
Yeah, right.
So, it's a little projecting forward, this is what we project as, funding plan. Now, next year, things will fall off, other things may be added to it, so you update it for 5 years, every year.
Yeah, and I'm not, I'm not looking for a pat on the head or anything, but like, I just try to take what was done before and just make it way better.
Patting you on the
No, it's just, I look back at what Greg Hale did, and it just wasn't very detailed, and this is way more detailed, so I'm happy to receive any feedback, any questions, email me too.
Yeah, so for the STEM and, sorry. It high level is better, just, because it is like 5 year look forward. It's okay to have this sort of embedded and internal for,
So this is two.
well, because you want to be consistent across all the channels you're communicating, and the idea is that you are going to update. And all they're really looking for at FDOT and FSTED level is like, what's your 5 year look forward of your projects, and that top of the line number. This is great, but we'll have to sort of gloss it over to provide that. Like we'll need more of a summary.
So what's the nuts and bolts of that? Do you want me to pare it down?
Well, when we go back to the spreadsheet, it would just be like the top line number, so you got it like more granular. It was whether it's approved grant funding, and I mean, we can work together just based on what was provided last year, but we just really want to be like consistent across all channels.
Okay.
They don't reprioritize FEMA budgets for us, like at the TPO level.
So every year is a new year. It's like clean slate.
No, so every year, you're looking forward 5 years, and every year you're obviously 1 year drops off, and 1 year adds on the front or the back end.
Yeah.
But then you might be revising your project timelines, so some projects may not be moving forward, or you reprioritize your own ranking.
Sure. Okay.
For example, you've got the PID, a lot of the things that are gonna be fixed in the PIDT, assuming you get the full grant, you may not get the full.
Right, I want to do it.
So that's
That's pretty major though.
then next year, we would have to update to reflect, that decrease of funding. Okay. Either extending a timeline or dropping some things off.
So is this enough for you to pare down, or do I need to go in and do a new sheet or do a different summary? Do you want it in a PDF? I'm just trying to, I know we're late to the game here. I'm just trying to do the best to get done on the deadline. How would y'all like me to proceed?
I think we need to move ahead with it, and, we can correct as we go along. But we need to stay on top of those, coming in here late and turning things in, that's just not good. It doesn't show, that this board or the board operator is on top. I mean, if we were running a 300-400 acre, marine terminal, yeah, I can understand something like that. We're talking 11 acres here. So I think that we can stay on point. We can get the information to the agency that they requested it. And every year just update. Keep moving forward. It's a living document last year. So that's the way we need to proceed.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I would just suggest that we take what we've done in the past, last year, what we had. Provide that to Ted. Rosanna can provide that to Ted. And then I would just kind of,
No, I just didn't think it's very good, but if that's the way we want to do it, then that's fine.
I'm not sure it needs to be exactly like it was before, but I think that, Commissioner Hill with her experience dealing with the agency is like, this might too much. And what that means is that's for the operator's protection and for ours. You don't want to be locked into some of the detail,
Okay.
especially if you're going to change your mind, or may change your mind. So maybe just take both of the documents and then do your best to as a little bit more.
This is,
Yeah, basically it is.
that's what I'm saying. I need board approval. Like, do we need a motion to approve this, then it to be given to FDOT?
Give the ranking to like SDOT dockets, like
It's gotta be.
I think we need to have a capital expenditure discussion at the board level, through each item, to understand what's planned. And yes, this is enough that I can work with Jeff Sheffield to see what level of granularity and see.
Yep.
Bye, Braxton, good meeting. Well,
Get them on before here soon.
it was really great for our very wishes.
Thank you.
But I think this is good. This is good. I don't want to reject this.
Okay.
Do we have time tonight to look at the items? Do we want to discuss the individual items tonight?
You know. You know. I take it, something like that, that doesn't pass like that.
So the out of pocket costs and grant funding. I only see grant funding for 2 items up here. And they're all listed as pending.
But yeah, I did not make columns, so, well, I guess I'm pending, because it's getting the granular detail, but if you start rebuilding the crane, you can't rebuild the other crane at the same time. The mobile harbor crane, the lever, that's what it's referred to. I should have labeled it because they're all levers, but if we're rebuilding, if we're doing major work to the mobile harbor crane, if you do that at the same time as the major work to one of the container cranes, A, it's too much work on it, and B, I need a working crane to work vessels. So, I just tell them, I'll do whatever you need to.
So currently you do want to initiate a crane project. You're not clear which one, because you have to have one function, right? So it's not-
I'm clear on what I do, that's a whole nother discussion. But the ground, the,
So for identifying in the current year, so for 2026.
hmm? Yeah, if you go over, it's just, I mean, if you, it can't do it here, it's gonna be messy, but if you scroll over to all the dollar amounts are plotted out by month, all the way out to the right. So you can see crane 10 refurbishment comes before in spend on the lever, which again, I'm sorry, it should be reclassified as the mobile harbor. So it's by day across. But again, I guess I'm hearing is it's a little too complicated.
Yeah, what they want to see is next year. We are gonna do a crane project, it's a $2 million project. Year after that, we're gonna do a warehouse project, and so just to have a sense of timing, looking at 5 years, what's in the pipeline?
Right.
And then every year you can adjust that. If based on what how priorities have changed.
Yeah, my take on it, correct me wrong. You know, they're looking for a 50,000 foot. View, what we.
Yeah, I just on the other areas.
And obviously, we need,
But two.
as we
Or
go
no,
now,
two.
more than 50,000 foot view. We need to know what the view is.
Okay.
Well, specifically.
Like high bids, like kind of bombshell, but FDOT does want very granular information from us. They want the Kraken report, which I said on training this past week. And it will require you, someone from your team, to enter some very detailed information into their database. They are basically eliminating all of their management of this information at like the Lauren Rand level. And we are going to directly enter very granular information like per foot, per linear foot, what we are getting in terms of responses, what we are budgeting for every single thing we're doing across the state. So FDOT, and again, they want all. But for the purposes of a 5-year capital plan, it's high.
Okay, so the question for me is, does this need to be board approved? Because if it needs to be board approved, like, we technically don't have time for me to go back. Give you a more 50,000 foot view and get it approved and get it in. So do you trust me? I guess that's the question. Do you trust me to turn this into more of a summary? Give it to Roseanne first. Is that okay?
That's the question, because we have to submit it into the Kraken portal by December 1st. So the board is not going to have any chance to review it again after tonight.
And DOT accepted what we've done in the past, even though it seemed to be really just too simple and too broad, you know, to Ted. But then it probably does need to be more like what, just because then you're not volunteering extra information that they really don't need.
It's not a little summary.
This is great for us.
Yeah, this is nice.
But again, the question is, you know, can you run the meeting until that time?
Mr. McNair, are you comfortable submitting that to FDOT? to FDOT? So that you won't have to do any more work on it.
No, I'm here. So
The totals aren't going to change.
no, the totals won't change. The totals will stay the same. I'll just pare it down to more of a summary level.
And you've got nothing for 2030. Is that right? Is that 5 years or 6?
So, no, just
Okay, so it's 6 through 9. Is that right? That's like 4. So we don't have anything to do.
so I need to put something in for I still I have no clue what's gonna happen in 5 years. So
Just,
Take a wild guess.
I think just leave it like that.
Well, you can look back and kind of extrapolate. Has there ever been a year that there's been 0 backups, right? Has there?
no.
No. So there's going to be a minimum cap.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Okay. I'll come up with something.
Okay, so, we'll agree to do a high level summary on all this. This was already changed, of course. Then we're gonna go out for 5 years, and then we're just really trusting we go get that to present, so she can get that submitted, right?
Well, so my next question to the board is, I asked FDOT if they will allow a third user on their portal, because right now it's just me and Commissioner Hill. And they said yes, because the surveys and the questionnaires are very port related, and I don't know the answers to any of them. And so I would need information from the port operator and then turn around and submit it in the Kraken portal. So if Ted would like to volunteer to sign up for the portal, he could just go in there and enter all the answers.
And
That would make it
it's
simple.
details. It is,
Yeah.
it's very detailed capital expenditure information, like they would be able to see, you know, like I said, per linear foot, what we are paying for every that's hearing an application or invoice, and they're looking across the state comparing what expenditures are what's budgeted, what's actually, you know, being paid per hour, per, you know, at a very, very, very low. So I'll share this, if the place the board will, I will share all of that information with you. Happy to get together with someone in your staff, Travis or Mary, or I don't know who the ultimately general information, that I'm happy to share what I know. The whole training video is about an hour, and you can do it 1.5 times, which is kind of nice, like you can make it talk about it.
Okay.
And
How,
it's gonna be a significant lift.
Yeah. So,
So what'll happen is you'll enter all that information, some of your delegate will enter all that information. A copy will go to Rosanna at me, we'll be able to see what's submitted.
Mm.
But we won't be getting in between that, because otherwise, it's basically all those spreadsheets that we were submitting for like grant status updates, all that information is now on the website, so there's no more spreadsheets. There's no spreadsheets, it's just entering directly into.
it'll be faster now. So, yeah,
You know, my point of concern with that. You know, I'm fine, they should, because they have the information, enter in the information and track it. But when they hit enter, are they not now entering the information for report from D? Without our oversight, without our problem, without our final ability to look at that and look at what's been submitted and what's suggested to be submitted. So look at that and say, yes, that's good, that's what we want. Or to look at it and say, no, we didn't do that.
so Commissioner Moore, do you want to do that? What, while they enter the data, you and I can sit just like we did with PIDP?
Yeah.
And use my username and password to get into the portal, if that's,
So there is a way to save the data and not submit it,
okay, let's do that.
Yeah,
but there isn't a way to send it to an open user to approve before submitted.
Just have to enter it in,
They can,
or maybe.
they could do the data entry over the course of like, several days, saving it. And then when they get it all entered, then we could set up a meeting for one of the board commissioners being, or go and see it, or for Rosanna to see it. I don't know if there's a way to print.
so,
it just makes sure that we have oversight, that they're not the final submitting authority. So
And
we
then-
can, we can put the alarm, if the alarm fine.
This is just for grants.
No, this is like the goal FDOT T4 mission plan data collection. So FDOT collects information about all the flood reports. And this is the 5-year C4 mission plan look forward. And it's an online document that you've probably seen the Seize the Day, like online brochure about what all the reports are doing. But this supports 2 documents, the mission plan and the C4 system plan. So they're revamping the way like all this information is collected, because before FSTED relied on the Florida Works Council to facilitate a lot of this activity. Now it's being managed directly through FDOT, and HNTV is the vendor that has done some studies for other ports and for OPA. HNTV did the resiliency study, and so they built this platform that is called Kraken, that we will be doing the work ourselves. So
Sounds fun.
when you fire the consultants, you get to just close
Yeah.
else to do it.
all that information will be published.
Okay, so,
So what's the,
so Ted's going to do everything in this matter correctly. And then, Commissioner Moore, you'll connect with him, review it, go over it. That way it's essentially coming directly from us. The deadline's December 1st.
These are 2 separate things.
So, yeah, 2 components. Jump all over the place then. Okay,
Yeah, I think we resolved first, then we jumped on it. Back. In general.
yeah, do you want to grant the operator a username and password on his own or not?
When is, okay, when is the Kraken debit? Are those,
December 1st.
oh, I have to enter a bunch of detailed stuff into Kraken by December 1st.
and then the crack in the December 1st, right? That was the deadline.
By December 1st.
But I thought that was just for the 5-year capital improvement.
It's in there. It's one of the questions for the 5-year plan. And all you have to do is upload your spreadsheet in there.
That's just one cell.
Correct. Yeah, that's why.
Okay.
Otherwise, you don't want to grant the operator his own username. I can use my username for him to get in there, but I need to be in the room with him.
I think it's fine. So,
The challenge is just that we would make you the point of contact him, but we know that you're probably not the person who's gonna have access to all that information. Like, would it be Travis? Do you want us to copy you on it? It's like, hey, Travis, like, you just need to tell us.
yeah, do that. Copy Travis and Mary.
So it's you, Travis, Mary.
Mary's gonna end up be the one who end up doing it. She's already severely overworked as it is.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
I'm looking at David.
So MDOT needs, I can send you everything I have. I can send it to you, Travis, Mary, Davis.
Yeah,
But.
I didn't know.
That needs one email address,
Mhm.
just one. And that was the challenge. So when Rosanna and I both said in the training, we were like, who are we supposed to use? Because we haven't had one email address for your company. And I don't mean it's the criticism. We haven't had a single point of contact.
All right, so I'll get with IT. We'll set up a general email address.
And who would be the person for the email or would be the.
Well, I'm gonna set up like FDOT at relayterminals.com. That's gonna be the easiest way. I don't want one person. So it's gonna be,
But they need one.
They need one person.
They need an email address and they need.
And that's where we get to, like, okay, we're. Because we don't know if that's you or it's Travis,
I mean, it has to be Travis.
it's Davis.
So,
Davis is big,
Right, so we got. It's in what?
yeah.
So is it Travis?
Yes, Travis.
Oh, so I will send Travis's email address and he will then get a username and password from FDOT to get into Kraken.
Sure. Usually one of the tasks is to provide the information on the 5-year plan.
Correct.
Don't any other.
All right, moving on to new business, I would like to, as vice chair, we have folks here who are going to be getting ready to go on shift soon. So, if the board will allow, I'd like to jump down to tab 13C, the RFP security services proposals. We have all received, there are 11 proposals. We scored them, we the operator scored them, and then it's up for discussion. Tammy, I'm going to ask you, since we are kind of this RFP process, is the better way, your experience, the better way for them to come up, give a presentation, or just go through what I'm scored.
I think that the best way, since you didn't already say in the RFP that you can have presentations, that there are probably some vendors that responded that are not here and some that are. So I think it's probably unfair to the ones that aren't if you have presentations here. So I would just, to the extent that you can, it certainly is within your discretion, how you do it, but you're asking and I would go through what you have done so far for your evaluations, and then be mindful of the fact that any notes that you've taken, any scoring that you've done, you need to hand it to, email it to, they're all public records so that Rosanna can keep a copy and attribute them to you by putting your name on.
So I received 3.
Sure, it's, I would like for the board to, allow me, since I've been out of pocket, I haven't gotten any of these. They say they went to my Dropbox. They can't get through them. So I need time to look at this. I want to read over, I like to do some of my own research on this stuff, so if the board will allow, that we defer this until our December meeting, give me a chance to get those documents and to look at, uh, and to be able to score however you're talking about doing it, as you have you seen it here. But this is a very high, if you look on that map back there, these are the people that showed up during the picnic. These are the people that didn't run and lay out and stay at home. They came to the port. Some of them were fellowship. So, if, the chair would allow, we got the general manager, you know, maybe wants to come up and say something. But, you know, for those folks, some of them have worked all day and they're here because it's that simple. And then we've got some here going on shift and it's going on 8 o'clock. So those people should be commended. But I would like to give them ample as well as anybody else, as our attorney said. If they wanted to come and show up and speak, that's fine. But I think it's important to take into consideration is folks. Uh, these are the folks that you see when you go to the court. These are the ones that breach it. So, yes. How you want to proceed, but I want these folks to be recognized. And with the chair of the commission, Daryl, if you want to say something, or if you have something you want to turn over to the board, you do it.
Well, and so I think that's the direction that we'll, you know, every year, give anyone an opportunity to say a few words. And I want to give your opportunity, because we understand the services, so the opportunity to be able to score, we're here to score. I just want to make sure that as far as the timeline, when we had, I mean, is there anything that prevents us from moving this to the December meeting?
Yeah.
To give the vice chair Nelson the opportunity to write this well.
If you remember, the contract with Allied rolled over for another year. I mean, it could be terminated for, you know, any reason if you choose to change course, but you have plenty of time to make this decision for sure. And getting 11 proposals, I mean, that's pretty incredible. That's really good.
And this is, for instance, really good to see what's out. It's not to make the general.
No, you don't have to change at all. And Allied did submit a proposal, so.
And Mr. Chairman, I appreciate you noticing that. This board is not under any pressure to make any changes. So what we need to do is ensure that people that we've got out there are the best of the best. And which personally, since I've been in the business for over 4 decades, and I've dealt with security along the way, and I say this to Ted as well. That is a solid group of people, no doubt. I've seen them do things that they didn't have to do, but they've done it because they care about that board. And I'm sure these other commissioners are doing the same thing. So if you could just give that little bit of breathing room, and I appreciate the chair allowing me the time to look into this. But Daryl, thank you and your folks for showing up. It means a lot to me as a commissioner because I go out and I talk to these folks on a regular basis. And I've seen what they go through. And I'm sure Ted's getting more accustomed to being around out there and he sees as well. I hope you do.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'll leave it at that. It's true.
Yes.
So the criteria in the matrix, was this matrix provided in the RFP?
Yes.
With the criteria, the experience qualifications, the approach and methodology, proposal, and staffing levels, and backup plans, points each.
Yes.
So not all of the proposals, not all the proposals have a staffing level backup plan. Not all of the proposals have the same level of granularity in the cost proposals. Some have an hourly and supervisory rate, and then some give overtime as you can calculate it yourself as to what it is, or you can, some of them state the amount, so I would each one. Some include golf carts, some don't.
Mhm.
And then some have a weekly amount, a monthly amount, an annual amount, and others don't. They just have hourly, but then they list the hourly rate. But then they say later in other places that they do pay PTO and holidays, but they don't tell us what they pay for that. So we would just have to.
You have to take that into consideration when the one bit of advice that I could give you, and I will say that I think for Rosanna in the minutes, if you get a motion, not yet, because then we're really not supposed to discuss it, but a motion and a second to postpone it to December 10th, then that'll mean that's on the record for this decision to be postponed. The best way to look at these proposals is, and I've been on these evaluation committees before, is you're gonna look at them 50,000 foot view. I'll use Ted's words first. And you're going to kind of lay them out. And some of the things that are glaring, Commissioner Hill, like you can't even score them on these things because they didn't submit it. This goes in the trash. And I'm not naming any of the proposals. That's how I did. They're not even going to be considered. I don't care what their hourly rate is. They didn't meet the requirements of the proposal and guess what we need to score. Everything that you're seeing there in front of you was the criteria specifically was put in there. So that's how,
Like not responsible.
yeah, exactly. And so that's how I would do it first. And you will probably whittle it down at the point, my experience, to 3 or 4. Honestly, that you're going to be that have met all the criteria, that you have enough information. The ones that that have inconsistent information, like it says an hourly rate and then it gives you a monthly. I mean, if you don't like the way it looks, then that one is not something where you score it really. That is my advice on how to get through them quickly. Do not look at all 11 of them with the same fine tooth comb because some of them aren't worthy of that. So if that helps.
Well, and for you that you should, that's the two. Is it wrong to put them in page limit? Because to me, like some of these were like over.
Yes, we could absolutely do that. Yes, yes. You can do that to have them pair instead of data dumps on us. Yeah. Yes. And again, if you think they put, extraneous information that's nothing other than pretty pictures, take that into account when you do the scoring. It's very subjective, other than the criteria that you have to assign points to. Otherwise, it's subjective. It's what you feel. And then we come together, all of your notes are, made public, and you probably want to discuss a little bit about why you decided, especially with this.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's great. We would like to, I do want, yes, to speak, but, should we do that first or go ahead and ask for the votes to postpone? Is that,
If the commission is ready for a vote on postponing, you can take them after that.
sure.
Mr. Chair, so it is my reasoning and my issue that's being requested. I make a motion to defer this decision to the December meeting in order to give me time to do my due diligence and look at this information.
So the motion from Vice Chair Nelson, second from Mr. Moore. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. So we'll postpone that to December 10th.
I mean, if I could ask this one clarification point on this security. So I'm just, this is not making for any reason, but I looked at the operating agreement, I've looked through all the amendments and the signed agreements that are out there. I don't see anything. I think it's just historical precedence that we have reimbursed for security. Is that everyone's understanding?
And to be fair to Ted, so yeah, you're just like in the dark here. Ted had sent me an email that said that asked me to, does the operating agreement say, for lack of better words, this is just some that say, that the port operator pays for security services at the port? My response to him was I didn't feel comfortable answering that question. I wasn't trying to dodge it because it would be giving him legal advice and he's not my client and he understood. And I said, you need to bring that up at the board meeting.
So there, it just, I don't know if there's any agreements, which, again, there should, so there should be agreements, they're signed, between the parties as to who's paying for what cost. And then the board, you know, of the agreement or.
Such a fair, because for every payment, usually we knows the corresponding.
No,
First thought.
I haven't.
Here, good one.
I haven't. I mean, the only thing that I would say, and yes, bringing in, it's kind of sticky, but we've talked about labor, right? And so some commissioners here have said labor thing, putting ships at the port is not covered by the operating agreement. So we need a piece of that. And I would say the same thing. If that's the case, I would say the same thing about security services. It's not covered by the agreement. It's always been done. I'll find out what Pierre says.
So I can remember, that's the passport practice and the present.
Mhm, mhm.
And if you don't think that that has meaning to it, take it to a judge and see what he does.
Yeah, past practice has a lot of meaning legally
Yeah.
and otherwise. I don't blame Ted for the question, coming in and wondering because he's depending on the operating agreement. Right. Right.
Great story.
But I'll surely with Pierre about it and then come back at our next meeting.
I mean, even in some meetings,
Yeah.
that's the way.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's run forward, and the reason nobody ever addressed it outside of what we're discussing tonight is because it was a passport practice. Nobody ever questioned it and moved on. Because once you start some, you're locked into it.
Mr. Chair, I'll just say this statement, and I've talked with this has come from a couple of commissioners, and it's not trying to skirt any duty from OPA. But generally speaking, the commissioners here, myself too, and I understand it, OPA is not a taxing authority. The only revenue that comes to the port comes through the operator, period. There is no, so from OPA's perspective, and this is not even legal, it's the port operator pays for everything. And right? I mean,
I think you're taking to another way.
no, and I don't mean to be, but everything that happens at the port has to be paid by the operator in some way. There are things that end up, as I understand the agreement now, the operating agreement is that the facility use fee, the new tariffs, those specific that were written aside that are revenue that come to OPA, that's it. And then out of that, and what is paid monthly, that's how the staff get paid and everything. So,
All I was saying is every other I is dotted and T is crossed from my perspective. I just didn't know if there was something out there that I was missing. Just to make sure, like, I had everything in order. That's all I'm asking.
That's the way it's worked.
Okay.
Decades.
I'm still going to ask Pierre though, so I can, or he can provide insight at the next meeting. Yeah, I'm sure it's the same.
So I know I'm looking at catches on jackets, and it looks like we have some folks from Ally who do a great job out there. The ports review. I'd like to give anyone an opportunity to come up and speak if you would like to. You don't have to, but at least to say hello. And then I think outside of that, I don't think we have any of the other folks who submitted proposals. If we do, go on.
So, I'm Daryl, I'm the general manager for Allied Universe. And listen, we have been at this port forever. And we actually control almost every port in the Northern Florida. There's only one that we don't, and it's JMF. But pretty soon we will. We just got awarded Crawley, which is at, we control Jackport. and all that. So we know the Coast Guard in this area. We know any government agency in this area, we know. And we do very good at what we do. We do. And the only reason that we ask for a price increase is because we are behind market prices for security guards. And, most of our, believe it or not, a lot of our security guards are on welfare and food stamps because of what we pay. And we have to do that because we are a for-profit company and we provide our security guards with benefits that is really world renowned from any security company in the business. We're the third largest employer in the world. Our Universal is. So we take care of our guards. But as any company, if we know that we got to make money or we're not going to be in business. So we are on this quest to pay our security guards what the market wages say. And we know we're not going to go from A to Z overnight. We know that. Which is a shame on us and any security company that hasn't kept their security guards within that range. We realize that. That's what we're trying to get to. And to be a security guard in the state of Florida, for a port, you got to have a twig from the government, which costs money. You got to have a D license from the state of Florida, which costs money. And you got to have all these other things that qualifies you to work at a port. So that costs the security guards money. Now, as Allied Universal, we supplement a lot of that. We hire a new person, we pay for their twig card, we pay for their D license. But the renewals they have to have every year or 2 years, they pay. So they have to live, they work 40 hours. They may get paid 15, 16 here, they make $17. Just think about it. Think about it. If you made $17 an hour for 40 hours, could you live on that in Florida right now? No, you can't. So most of our security guards, most of them have a second job because they have to live. They got to pay for their family. So the reason we came to y'all, to be honest, because I'm an honest person. So I was in the Army for 20 years as a Ranger. So I understand honesty. So we know we need to pay our security guards. And all we're asking is for our clients to partner with us to do that in the bottom line. And again, we're not going to get from A to Z overnight. We know that. All right. But what we're asking for is for clients, like I just said, to partner with us to try to get there over years. And we'll get there. We will. Because we're good at that. And that's why we came to y'all and asked for, there's really modest rates. It's really not that much. And we do a good job. Think about this. Have you ever been fined by the Coast Guard since we've been there? No, you haven't. And if we fail at the port or the client fails, the Coast Guard will fine you like crazy. But we haven't failed. So we haven't been fined. That saves you money, believe it or not. And like I said, we run Jacksport, and the same Coast Guard that oversees Jacksport oversees Fernie Beach. And that's reality. And we have a good report with them. All right. So I'm not trying to sell you a sob story, but it's reality. We've done a good job by it. So all we're asking is for y'all to partner with us moving forward in terms of pay. It's not that much. It really isn't. If you look, So we value your business. Like I said, we're always there. And if there's something we have to do, we'll do it. As long as it's legal. I have to say that. But we'll do it. But we absolutely love your business. And I'm not saying that because we are a business. I'm just saying we love you and we love your business. And I think our security guard, by showing up here tonight, says that. Because some of them are about to go on ship. And it's going to be a long night for them. So that, most people don't do that. But we want your business. And if we have to work on something to keep it or to sustain it, please let us know. Because it's small.
Well, thank you.
So, I know.
No, thank you. Thank you for us and your being all, thank you for your evening, and coming out and, your, some of the work. It's, cold, cold time, so stay warm. Thank you for what you do and for, serving others. And thank you for your presentation.
We love the guards. It's a good thing. I'm sure the guys will thank you for it. But thank you very much, Islam.
Mr. Chair, close. If I remind the board, this is the same group of people that, former director Steve Parrish sent word through me to the board that he's never worked with a more professional bunch of people than the ones that are out in the ranking. He was adamant about it. He says those folks do what you tell them, and they don't waver from it. And that's the kind of people, Ted, that we need out there. We need somebody looking out for your interest and ours. And so thanks to thank each one of you officers for coming. I know some of you, I'm looking at you, you had a hard day today, and you're gonna go tonight, some of you, and work again. So thank you for coming. It means a lot to me for you to show up.
Thank you. Next, moving up to tab 13A, this is the FDOT Public Transportation Grants Agreements. Who's taking this?
We have three to review and approve. Actually, four. Four because Mr. Bean submitted a House appropriation form as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's take the crane first. Because I have to turn around and submit this to FDOT. If you all like the scope, terms of agreement. It doesn't have a grant number yet until it's signed, but it's 4388261948. It looks like this. Looks like that in the attachment.
These are three different grant agreements?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the first one.
This is the crane.
Comments, questions? Who was this grant for?
This is FDOT.
Mhm.
And December 31st, 2029 is when the grant would expire.
What was the data that you assistance we were in?
They were sent the past 2 weeks.
Is no one else excited? Yeah, this is a big deal.
Yeah,
It is a big
yeah,
deal.
it is. This first one is October 30th.
There, on the last side.
and it was folded November 3rd.
Ted, do you want to talk about this? Do you want to talk about the grant, what it means, all the exciting stuff?
Yeah, so I may outsource this guy, sorry. So we, as y'all know, we've been, we're in a pretty dire situation with grains. We've just no secret, we've been doing some pretty major efforts with FDOT. This the secretary just didn't parachute into Bernardino one day, right? There's a lot of coordination. Again, a lot of credit goes to Davis. So what we had said is, what I said personally to the secretary was, listen, we're willing to invest. We need help. There's a couple of different ways we can do this, but we need some help from the state. And so, as you know, this is a grant that is outside of the normal, pool of money that we usually ask for. It's a large sum. Is there a follow-up? Is there another one after this?
So again, a lot of thanks needs to go to Secretary Perdue and his team, Patrick, Charles, Norman, who have been working hand in hand with us on this. This is a phenomenal start, and I believe, once we get going on this, the plan is that there's another one like it after it to help with the cranes. And so it's been a short time coming. It feels like, we've been working at it for a couple months, but this is a really good thing for the board, and them seeing it firsthand, I think really helped with the deal. And thank you all, the board, being a part of that. A lot of thanks goes to FDOT.
So we've been working on this a couple months and you bagged $1 million.
It was a big
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I think that, I think it's that tendency that it requires significant action funds that you can't have as well.
And a lot of phone calls.
Not a lot for us.
So it's 1.04 low much, so
In the agreement.
pretty much 50/50.
Yeah, correct.
So who's the owner of this going to solution of whose authorities was the city manager? Was the port operators authority or was it? I think it means it's the meeting doesn't actually let's give them an issue on it. It's not kind of fiscal year plans that are expended. But certainly for dozens of entities could be for this.
One of the things, sorry, I have to be the lawyer. I'm not bursting any bubbles. One of the things we talked about at the workshop was when, and this is very exciting, but that we do some type of letter agreement or something like we did for the fender replacement, so when OHPA signs this, it looks in the agreement like OHPA agrees to a 50% match, that we do something with you, Ted, that's hopefully quick, that says that your intent is to do the match.
What's deadline? What's the term?
There's no deadline, but you want to get started.
Can we do some background asking that I think side, there would be, there's some paperwork required.
I don't think so. I'm excited to see this on
I'm only talking about, I don't know if, we just, like we talked about at the workshop, OHPA wants some assurances when we enter into these agreements or approve the agreements that the operator, whether it's you or there is a successor in the future, because again, unfortunately, you have to suffer this of what we went through with your predecessor. That we do a letter agreement, but it doesn't have to take 2 or 3 months to get a letter agreement approved.
No, I'm just saying that it sounds like we can't get approval to sign this by OHPA today because we don't have a letter of agreement, correct?
Right.
Okay, so then draft the letter, send it to me. I'll get it signed, and we'll put this on the next meeting's agenda. Sound like a plan? Is that gonna apply to all these? We're about to
Yes.
look at?
Mhm.
Yes, and so what I would do if I were you, so that we don't have this again, is to then send me an email. And with you or whoever has the authority to say, this is a grant agreement that we intend to present to the board. And we're fully committed to paying the match for it. And if you send me that, then that's what.
Just an email, or I need
You
to
can
dra-
send me an email.
I need to draft the agreement between us.
How does the board want it? An email is, I mean.
Because you've got a boilerplate for this, right?
Oh, yeah, I can, you want,
Okay, yeah. I'll
let me
see-
send you a
yeah,
boilerplate.
I'll send you, okay.
The next one over here.
USCBP on port facility. And these were forwarded to the board.
Oh, this is for customs, okay.
Yeah. Uh, no, it's not.
It's another DMC grants,
292.
This is for engineering or design.
Well, yeah, this is,
CDD.
and I asked for the scope, so.
With the drawings.
All right.
Consistent.
Oh, it is the FY 2026. Okay,
No, I mean.
my mistake.
And you see. The cubes, three bottom. One. One point pound. And then three long. And back. 4.6. So this will do. Put it in. This I believe is tested. Grant. The first of which that was going probably be your.
Yeah, this is for the. Not the initial plan, this is for the design and plan,
Engineering.
engineering.
And this is, the scope is what Pierre said, make it broad, so that if there's any,
Okay, yeah,
right?
yeah, that's, and that
And
scope is in there, right?
yes, it's an attachment. So I need everybody to look at the scope and see if they're comfortable with the scope.
But you got another 2 weeks to look at it, so.
Yeah. And we can amend it and tell FDOT.
And then let's just get forward, the appropriation. That's gonna run through that, it's an appropriation from to and move on.
Appropriation to go through that.
What, is it still have that scope on?
Also, it will not. As a conversation. And. What's currently out. But they are basically. Taking the local matches required for 2 different grants controlling it. Where you to show that people are understanding in order to come on. So that it's already a local match that you pay. And it's shown the homeowners. And we've had good conversations with that about that they understand what we're saying, where that's the current amount of the total project cost. And that's going to be attributed to this grant as well as the staff.
Okay. And then the fourth one is the security grant, I believe that's the 75-25 match, that's the upgrades. That were.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gate security.
For the systems I got here, advised that we should include design and build. And this just has more.
Oh, I thought it was changed.
So that's, I mean, I asked for scope and I didn't get any kind of feedback. So what I did was took the one that we entered in C-Hub.
Um,
200.
You think that
Yeah, I mean, I would rather. But I can tell you, you know, we speak with CDP, we've been speaking directly to FDOT about this. I mean, we're also lobbying federal level now to see. Not only just, we're not trying to wriggle out of anything, we're just trying to get more information, trying to get higher up the food chain at CDP.
so do you have water scope for itself?
No, I think I'd like to see a broader scope because I'm not an expert on this. This is just my opinion. My opinion is that we need to have a plan of action and just use all these funds with a firm that's going to come in, design, construct the whole thing in one go. It seems to me it's going to be a less efficient use of funds, but go, okay, let's do this little thing with one company, you know, put an RFP out, award it, go, and then, okay, we got this package. Now we have to do this next thing, and then we do RFP. I'd rather just do it in one.
So you could things for a certain price, and if you try to find something you can actually do work for that price.
Yeah.
Right.
Design build is where it's at, I agree. If we can expand, if that qualifies, this particular amount of money allows the construction, so my understanding is that the match is better on the actual physical infrastructure. So like if it's a build agreement, usually there's a more aggressive match, but when it's just for professional services, it's like 50%.
More aggressive match from them or from usually 75 to 25 is only for water side.
That's the meeting's going down, I mean, it's a water, something, it's 7.
That's all I was getting.
No, what, it's a smack or something? No.
Why? Just. He was a pretty kind of better thing for one. But it is the one kind of man.
Just give me a broad scope and I will submit it to FDOT. That's what I asked initially.
Yeah, I thought Peter had from if you could do design and build. And that this should be as broad as we want, so
Mhm.
we can use it for some like, you know, work. If we need to.
Yeah,
use it for
this
some
goes from
construction
here.
work.
And the scope of the
Yeah.
resolution wrong. So can we just match the two? I need to remove both, I guess.
So yeah, you can amend this. But give me the language and I'll submit it to FDOT.
Yeah, we may just want to look at the language in the reviews. Yeah,
For security automated gates upgrade, the next one.
that one's pretty straightforward. We're ready to roll.
And it's
Or any comments, questions?
100 and-
Should we get letter drafting or room drafting next meeting?
Yeah.
But we
Speaking of, when is the next meeting?
December 10th,
Well,
Then we moved it up. And
maybe it's not
Yeah.
December 10th.
Why, is that a bad one?
Dang, so confused.
it's a week early. So
or because
It's the 10th. I'm almost positive
So it's the third.
it's the third.
Yeah.
No, that's the first Wednesday.
I know, because of Christmas, we do it that way.
Oh, okay.
But I can always change it if that's the board's will. And that's gonna be my question for later. But you can answer it right now.
I had some travel I need for work, so I just need to know what we can, so I can be here.
We post our meetings on the website here and it's been the third
Mhm.
quarter.
And that's when I have this auditorium reserved.
Where is?
We only have one meeting still in
In December.
and it'll be on December 3rd. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's so any movement on get this thing moved to Mondays or Tuesdays? So I reached out to some of the city, I'm just waiting to hear back, trying to get, because we could, well, it's back to two-part deal. It came up before as a possible opportunity to meet at the city chambers, but we could not do it on Wednesday. I think there was a Monday or Tuesday, I don't remember which day it was it Tuesday. I'm still waiting to hear back on that and then any potential possible costs there. We we could discuss the opportunity of just moving our dates and still continue to be here, but again, we don't know what the facilities being used for on any other days. At the moment, we could look into that, but I feel it makes more sense. If we're gonna move the day, let's see if we can get someone with better acoustics, better seating, better arrangement all around. You all pay for this?
There's a fee for the office, but that also includes our access to this wonderful auditorium.
That's just be able to shiver.
Because I'm just wondering where we're gonna shoot boots at.
And I feel like now's a good time to draw attention to the delicious snacks that are on that table.
Not many are left, but there are.
It's
I
very
just went
good.
over and had a cream puff.
It's very good.
So tab 13B, 794 fire safety on seaports. Who is taking this up?
So, yeah, I mean, I'll just dive in here. I mean, this is a pretty unrealistic thing. It seems to us like outside like this was originated in the Miami area because it was a tragic boat accident. The response time was really low. And, I get all that, but I mean, my opinion, and this is gonna go nowhere. It's so unrealistic to put this to onus on all the ports that I think it's kind of DOA, but Commissioner Moore, Davis, y'all have.
FPC planners. Zoom meeting on it. It's Senator Garcia, as Trevor alluded to, it was related to a tragic event that occurred down in Fort Miami, down that area. There really isn't any impetus behind that. Also, the Port Miami is having discussions with Senator Garcia, educating her on some realities which she was not aware. And if this does move forward, which it doesn't appear that it will, but if it does move forward, it will be heavily edited. I expressed our concerns from a small port, big port standpoint. The requirement to have not one, two fire stations, not one, two fire boats. Was a port our size was a financial killer. They said that FTC said they were aware and they would be moving it forward after Miami had a discussion with them. There is a fact that they wanted to know what agreements we currently have for fire and rescue services. Any, bilateral agreements, interlocal agreements, mutual aid agreements, that we might have. And, as far as I can tell, from a formal written standpoint, there probably isn't any agreement outside of the normal, we are paying a fee through the pilot now. That makes us, open and even our system to fire services to address any fires that occur on vessels or on land facilities.
You're correct, it all works through 911. You need something, you call them, they come.
Yeah.
It worked that way on the ship fire, it works that way on medical emergency or within.
Yeah.
Have you reached out? Have you reached out to Senator Yarborough or Representative Dean, not me, but Black on this particular issue?
I have not, we planned this probably a month ago, because he's right now, there's nothing sponsored yet either. So there's California's has to go through. Obviously appreciate the Senator Rustin's trying to be for our community and I think Rustin's issue of the travel situation. But it's out, united on this. It is world the attraction, they fight for some reason behind the and was following so but obviously that's without link to
So bottom line, if there's one, definitely here to have it.
Somebody.
Any traps concerns.
We are talking with, the fire department about some waterside. Facilities, what is the status of those discussions?
So, with a lot, we worked a lot, I actually just sent, Rosanna, for this meeting, request added to the December, 3rd agenda. And included the appraisal that the county had done on the property. I sent, county manager a note, asking him, just kind of taking him, bring it to the top. For he and I are having a discussion, just where the steps are going, based on our discussions of the comments that we made here. So they kind of know what we're looking for. Obviously the opportunity of selling land or leasing the land, and it's just trying to get out so we can all come to an agreement on which way we want to go. Honestly, for us, it makes more sense and it's more beneficial, right, to do a long-term lease. And he understands that, but he's having those conversations with his team, and I expect to have something back December 3rd.
What was the assessment?
They did it two ways. There is a sales rate, anywhere between 765,000 to 960,000. There is in the angle of ground scenario of about 46 to about 58,000 a year. We don't have to definitely the appraisal. It's so that we need to, kind of come to that. Are they going to say we're not for you money to purchase property, or yes, we're going to be screwed, and then from there, we go working on working on the
Are they talking about building a permanent station?
Um, that's the idea. That's the plan. But again, this is, I mean, there's 5 commissioners. They're all, they're gonna have their different ideas, just like us. But yes, the idea, they said the long term for the build of permanent.
So you can also build it, for them, and listen to them. With it, and do at least that is, improved. There's lots of different scenarios, we just do with brownies and then.
I was thinking that it would benefit the board to have a fire station right outside of the gate. That would have eliminate a lot of worries, problems, especially if it's centered on a high-speed rescue boat that has pumping capabilities. Because in the ship fire, he can come up alongside and just douse that ship.
Do they need the whole space?
I don't know the answer to that. I would, but 50, 52 foot. There were just, and I think what's that?
One or two?
There's one that's being built. They do have another one, a little smaller one. It's out of Station 20. That's Southland. There's been the idea to talk around with me, and there's someone here in mentioned it, but we agree with the sheriff's office because they also have sheriff. So there's potential to, yes.
Do you know which draft it was?
Um,
Yeah, so it would be good to know how much like growth they need, how much draft, because if we could build something that could be multi-tenant. That might be a better scenario than for us to like do a land lease of the whole lot, because the operator sometimes does need that lot. Really what they need is like waterside, just docking. And in fact, like, do they need shore support buildings? Like, what else do they need on the site?
Yeah, I mean, I've been around boats and marinas my whole life, and you know, I would ask I would ask just to make sure. I think 50 foot, they're probably not, but like some people want their boat on a lift.
So yeah, it's again with these discussions, the idea is once the sides agree to what the county agrees to, okay, let's offer them this. Let's offer purchase, let's offer to lease it, whatever. At that point, then, I think we would ask the fire company to come in and really give that proposal, so to speak, or be able to answer all those questions. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna have a lot of those. A lift that came as right here. Again, it's
There's no way they're gonna leave that boat in the water
that
the whole time, no way.
So from my perspective, and I'm just going by, but my perspective is that should be, developing waterside infrastructure. And that's really like, if we can't get out of that, what we think we can do. We already own the land, if we have the opportunity to develop for them, I think we should. I think we should right size it for them, but also consider whether if we're gonna, bond a facility, if there's opportunity for multi-tenants, great. And preserve any uses for they sometimes use that off for staging, other purposes, how we not, reduce that overall footprint, because right now we have industrial space limitations in the historic districts, that to give that up would be, I think, very short-sighted.
um. So over fire safety, okay, so any other comments or questions regarding that?
So this is not through Taco, this is really through the fire chief.
This is through talk, I'm having a discussion with tacos because the decision comes from the BOC. There's no sense in having this done with the fire chief. I did discuss with them all. Even took it to Taco. I also made the calls, and so right now, if his board says no way, then there's no sense.
So where's the sheriff's bill for it? They put it at DD's? And just launch it?
Likely.
So, previously, the fire department wanted to store some of their fire, foam.
Mhm.
And the board, are they doing it? Are they storing it lower?
They were, there was 36 5-gallon pails of it because they used everything they had when they were fighting that vessel. And, Chief Silcox come to me and said, look, is there any way we can get some assistance on replenishing? So at that time, all of it was Gilbert. And I was still on Savage's payroll, and Butch told me, get whatever they need, and it was put under the stevedore's office. So unless they had come and got it, we still.
Sure, it's still.
Still there.
And I thought that it was the one that doesn't have the PFAs.
That's right.
And it's like,
It's, environment friendly and all that.
so if they need to store something like that, and then they need, more space, and we could work with them, it doesn't have to be that, on that particular lot, I need to figure out where we can store it. Yeah, so again, I just think we should be a little bit more, get involved in the overall planning process.
One of the strategies will come up on that, but we have to be careful because we did that coming up you or remember that we forgot to carry our equipment side of the bill.
Well, that would be a county. It's not something. If we can make the property available.
Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah.
It's zone industrial and it's open property,
Land over,
so I think it's,
are we really expanding? Or we just building it?
Building on it. I don't know.
I think that, I mean, it's a good point. I know the language you're talking about. And I'm not saying that it's not broader than this, but certainly the intent was not to encroach on the historic district and the residential, not necessarily water side. But thank you for bringing that up. We have to keep that in mind.
Before I move on, I was going to actually go back. I just received an email after I sent a reminder text to the person in the city. Now I just got an email forwarded. It says, good morning, Vice Mayor. City Hall Chambers is available to accommodate monthly open meeting as follows. First on Monday, 6 p.m. Second Thursday, 6 p.m. Today's any time. Hard to say, it's Friday meetings. At this time, and this is from Carol Invest. This time, it's cost to record, live stream, bookmark, post production, closed caption, and upload meetings to the website. It's nearly $900 per meeting, which is a substantial exorbitant increase over previous years. As such, staff recently advised lower cost solution we have implemented in fiscal year 25-26, resulting in lower costs that will be shared with our OHPA sister agency. Please contact me. So this is actually yeah, so I just sent a reminder text and we forwarded to the a couple weeks ago. So again, there's an opportunity, but it sounds like to use their audio streaming equipment. There were calls there. I did ask the question when I was concerned about that, because I thought that would certainly help us out. But it's something where we do now, but then we find out what that lower cost is, and then we can certainly upgrade our AV.
so we can have their, we're gonna tie into AP without using their system. And the cost.
For yes, correct. Yeah, we would have to use the cost of $200 per meeting, using outside copyright. And so that's the cost there. But yes, sounds like they're moving it in-house, and so they'll find a way to so.
What we can do together.
First and third Mondays at 6 p.m. Second and third, second and fourth Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays anytime. So if you, if the board likes, I can just kind of figure to Carol directly, just ask for them, just to make sure, you know, if we go into anything, and we'll just continue forward with what we're doing now. But is there any, with those days, are there any issues? Their AC flows and better.
Some people worry about this, right?
I love that. That's just one person. It would really help me.
Yeah, I mean, I only would say that Monday, I think would be a bit of a scramble for Rosanna, she's off for the weekend, so we have to have most of the work done week before. And there's a lot of advanced work for meetings, she has a lot of emails and activity, like the days leading up to the meeting. But, looking here, things maybe she asked here, we're all.
Yeah, yeah.
And I am open to any of that stuff.
We'll also figure out.
No, I know you.
So we'll bring this back next week. But if I can just, since I got it.
One of the concerns, the security costs.
Doesn't count. Doesn't count.
Oh, yeah, that's the
Well, they started charging us for. like,
The
they said
deputy.
If we are going to be there, we have to secure yard.
Mhm.
It was a minimum of like $4 a meeting, basically.
We had, instead of sheriff's deputy, they now gone to, a security company. So it lowers the cost a great deal.
Cause it was the overtime.
Yeah. Okay, way out, into here, so. Moving into tab 13D, invoicing OHPA relay, is that? Tammy, I know you touched on this earlier, during your report, is that what this was?
So one of the things that, and this is Rosanna's issue, and then it turns out to be mine too. I think that it's gonna get resolved, and it's just to make sure, Ted, that, for example, I think I have, since July, then maybe since July, this is just for me that I know about. I have submitted and I separate my invoices for the property appraiser litigation, like I said earlier. Amy Polson said they have no problem reimbursing it, yet bills that have gone, when I submitted an invoice to Rosanna in July, that those reimbursements still haven't happened. She turned around. So I don't know if you want, in other words, overall, all of the bills getting paid late. When there's reimbursements requested by Rosanna, things that we've paid, we haven't seen anything that says, oh, well, we shouldn't have to pay this. They're just getting paid late, 60 days, 90 days, and it really should be what,
So can
30?
you send me just need a summary, because the problem is if I get an email for just one,
Yeah.
so can I get a summary of what's past due? I mean, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Our vendors, and then they
Definitely.
pay me, just get
Definitely.
a summary, and then I can address it in the right. But I
Definitely.
can't
And
get a
it's,
case down every.
no, and Rosanna's gonna send that to you because she keeps track of it,
And
or Pierre will have it
and
handy.
just to say, these are not disputed, these are all,
These are not disputed. These are
Yeah,
not
right.
disputed. Yes, sir. No. So it's just like generally wait, and it could be that Mary is just, like you said, she's just got a lot to do. But it's fine. I'm sure Rosanna is not saying these are late at 35 days. We're talking about 60 days, and there's some that have been 90.
Do you have like a spreadsheet with all of the like chargeback costs?
No, I do. Mhm. And so now Mary asked me to invoice for the admin and bunkering. And so I can't do that without the receipts. I've been asking.
She asked you to invoice for admin and bond.
Mhm. And we did not get payment for July and September, admin and bunkering, and I've been asking her for a receipt so I can invoice relay. And so now October is due. So I just need the receipts. And then when the tonnage and the tariff comes in, I will need to invoice that as well. And I need receipts.
And the reason, as I understand it, because Rosanna has shared it with me, that she is going through this process of invoicing is because Mary asked her to invoice in order to have on your side the record that we've asked for the reimbursement. So in order to invoice, Rosanna explained it to me that she needs something to invoice with proof rather than just coming up with a number. So that's why the receipts of what's been taken in for the things that
No,
end up getting,
I'm just confused why. Okay, I'll run it down.
if it can be made
So I'll
simple.
be at the court. I just don't know why this is not getting connected. Okay, sorry.
So 13E, the CVP House Appropriation 426. This is the same thing that we saw last year when we asked for appropriations from the state and received the $350,000. So I'm excited to see this again going back to the state.
Yeah, and conversations with Senator Yarborough and Black have been very productive. They're very excited about this project and want to see it through. And so those conversations have already started with him. This is the required house form, like last year, presenting it to you all. The requested amount this year is 1.875 million. So it's essentially the request that was made last year minus the money awarded, the appropriations process, FSTED, and then there was planning grant money that was taken out because that money's already been expended. Had brought this up on the description. It's intentionally broad with planning, design, engineering, and construction. You know, usually on these forms, it is broad like that, but the FDOT process agreement it will be very specific, but they use that as baseline to build out the grant agreements later on. And so there will also be a Senate form that we'll bring to you all in December. This one's first because the House has a hard deadline for submittal on these forms. And so that's the request. The form should be identical to last year minus the dollar amount differences. And then happy to take any questions on it.
Any questions? I think it's great. It's another great opportunity. My question really is, again, how can we help? I know we've had the conversations, the Eagles had conversations with President Black and Senator Yarborough, and like I said, they are very excited. They want to help. This has become a great project for them to get involved with. And so, if there's anything that you can think of that we can do, anybody can go to Tallahassee again.
Yeah, no, you know, anytime you see them out in the community, thank them for their strong support of the Port of Fernandina, obviously it's critical to meet there. And as we go through set, which is January to March this year, if anything arises, be sure to keep you all in the loop. And you know, thank you for coming over to Tallahassee. And Commissioner Moore was also in Tallahassee last year. Anytime you all come, happy to host. But as anything arises, we'll let you. But anytime you see them out in the community, just give them thanks for their out here working hard for us.
Thank you.
Just a quick question. Page 7, type of funding is the amount broken out.
The matching funds section.
Yeah, just walk me through that. One is the 1.875 million, 60 for example. That's the total project cost, or
That's the requested amount this year. And so what you'll see is in the state section, what that number is, it's the $350,000 from the appropriation last year. It's the 146,340 from FSTED 1, or what I call FSTED, and then there's the 150 from FSTED 2. And then in the other category is the matching funds required for those two FSTED grants.
okay, so the match is 260. Okay.
You can't put that in the local because it's the match for a different connection.
So that's what we talked about last year and what we did, and what that ended up doing is, when FDOT pulled it, it shows they were gonna require that money that's in that local line, before they would disperse any of the other funds, when really it's the operator and private funds that are gonna be used to match this, so it's more appropriate than the other line. The issue we're running into that, and it's not just that, but the last year, I believe it was the $73,000 in that local line, which was half of the 146. And so FDOT was saying, okay, well, for the creation, you have to give us 73,000 to unlock 350, when really question as it's presented on the form is what money would be expended on this project. And so that money was actually there because it's the match for 146 on the F-stead. So it was basically two different silos. That I was saying, okay, you owe us the 146 for the F-stead grant and the 7 for this. Really, it's the same grant. So basically you charge twice.
But does having zero in that line hurt us at all? Just to not
It doesn't help the case, but I wouldn't put anything there that wasn't that we couldn't commit to.
And in order to like move the needle in that road, it has to be direct dollars invoiced on the project, like for school costs, or could it be soft costs like rates?
No, you can't put mines on there. It is physical dollar going towards the capital expense.
And it doesn't happen until everything's been approved. Is it like time bar as well, like we can't spend money until we've got the appropriations? Or could it be money we've already spent?
It'd be
deferred reimbursement.
now what it is. No, so the reason why there was some money that we've taken out, because the question is framed, what do you expect to extend moving forward? The total cost of the project for fiscal year 26, 27 from all sources, and so like the planning survey is in a different fiscal year. I from experience of dealing with what we did last year, I think it's an easier process that you're trying to move on those numbers.
I'm glad you figured it out.
Jobs here.
Right, Davis, thank you. Yeah, and also thanks to operator for moving forward with state appropriations. It's a great move. Item 14, office manager report. Rosanna.
My report is attached to meeting packet. I just want to ask if the board wants to stay at December 3rd meeting, or do you want to move that?
If that's published, yeah, we're going to stick with that one. Then,
I mean, I can move it.
It's not been published yet, but if that's where it normally goes.
yeah.
So, okay. And at that time, we will have the OPA officer election. Okay, that's it.
I will tell you, I'm having shoulder surgery November 20th, but I will be here for your December 3rd meeting, just like this. So. I already told my 12-year-old boys they have to wash my hair. They're thrilled.
Item 15, board commissioner. Get started with question 1. Okay, then. Sure.
A TPO meeting tomorrow, and there are 2 items on the agenda where someone needs to provide feedback if we want to be included. It's agenda item E and G. So it's the UVW studies. So if you look at the TPO's website and you search for studies, you can search just for studies that have been done in Nassau County. Chester Road, Barnwell Road has had a study, State Road 200 has had a study. There's been a bicycle and pedestrian master plan. We're doing a study at the port right now for ingress and egress for trucks and optimizing traffic flows there. But if we have issues that we think need studying for transportation improvement in Nassau County, we have the opportunity to present those, for the port, but also broadly for the county, for something that we think we should take more interest in, to sponsor and ask for funds.
And the deadline is January 23rd.
Both of these are January tickets. So we have typically put in the 5-year project prioritization list, and that's just a line item of what our projects are. So Preston's House, Springs, it doesn't even have an amount. It's just including it in TPO's regional plan so that when we go to any grant making entity, you can just have a point of reference to say TPO lists these projects, they're aware, these are.
So this is like, we can bring these things up and get no cost studies done.
That's the UPWP studies. And so that's a request for UPWP, so transportation related studies. And what they really like to see is like we're doing the truck traffic, where they can identify ways to optimize the traffic.
I don't want to prolong this meeting, but my opinion is that and we're trying to address it somewhat with PIDP, but the saltwater ingress in the port, via another institution's rail line. That's part of, the transportation community as well. I mean, it's just, for me, when I see the whitewater rapid of saltwater coming into our terminal.
So, an example of a study like that they've done is the Mayport Resiliency Assessment. Flood vulnerabilities and adaptation strategies for roadways. That was August 19, 2021 study. So if you want to see an example of what studies looks like before you ask for it, I think that's a great idea. I was actually already back thinking along the same lines. But they would love to do a study on the rail and figure out what are the best ways to mitigate flooding.
But let's just be straight. Am I gonna have to do like a long application process?
No.
I'm just asking.
Poor Ted is tired of essays now.
In paragraph last minute to kick off the truck project.
Oh, sure. Right, a couple.
So I wrote just a few sentences saying like what the problem statement was, from the flooding. I would probably take some language out of listening to study, maybe run with it. But yeah, I'm happy to take that apart. If that's what one wants to do, to look at the flooding. Absolutely.
I mean, we all know what problem. This is just, having a little more ammo in the gun would be nice for future.
Well, we know it. You don't really know until you got it done.
Oh, I thought we were about to debate global warming at 8:45 p.m.
So in the Maple study, they took it all the way along all the roadways because all those neighborhoods also flood. So in the city, in Fernandina, they regularly have to close all of the roadways that service the port, which is also a problem for us, right? And so we have to be a bit more.
Yeah, the North 8th Street, north of Center Street is a huge one. That whole road needs to be raised. And nobody's got the money for it. None of the local jurisdictions do.
So if we just look at port roadways, like the roadways that service the port and the rail line, I think we could probably stay in our lane.
No pun intended.
But looking at the whole city, is a seawall without seawater? Keep that one. So.
Yeah.
And then, there's a reimbursement request.
Bought these on my own, and I was gonna say, I don't mind paying for them if we don't have the funding. I bought acrylic picture frames for the senator, I got Senator Yarborough, and then I went and got another one for Secretary Purdue. I'm happy to. I mean, I used to do that for $40, and now they're like, $70. So I'm happy to wait for them, but I did buy them, and we can have it be from all of us. Like I don't care. But I was going to put a picture of the port. It's nice for them to keep that in their office. I think it helps our lobbying efforts.
No doubt.
I showed Rosanna how much it was. She's like, "That's what it is." Wants to pay for it. I'm okay with either one.
Do we have a fund for that? We have a fund for that too. It's not just like an extra.
Yeah. Any questions for that? What are we buying? For expenses like that? Fewer bucks.
Well,
Awards.
I think it's 200 for awards. Yeah.
The chair, that Commissioner said, it means something to those folks when they get something like that and put it in their office and we're always in sight.
Yeah,
That's right.
they like to put it up because it's a picture of them next to a crane, right?
Yeah.
But then in the, actually, I should have brought tonight, they stand up, they're acrylic, and they're embossed with Ford Bernardina. So even if they take the picture out, but put another one, it's gonna say the Ford Bernardina.
I think that's a very good thought.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
The soul, you,
No, I think it's considered. You had to do.
Yeah, we're ready. Okay, so this one's incomplete, and my like, it's on me for not doing, I was supposed to go, there's another mural artist. And I need to reach out to this other muralist who's done a mural in Hilliard, and just have that. This is the original mural artist that we met in before during the rendering. And you can see Tammy Kozak's air picture picture. But he took a picture of the warehouse and then he superimposed his design. And this is what he came up with. We asked him to put the port cranes in the background, so there's some port element. When I first saw it, I was like, well, it's not really about port for me, it's about. And are this local Pelicans? I think they are, but they better be. They better not be just.
Is she not getting up for
AI.
sprays not being?
Yeah,
You need a crane with an osprey nest on it.
David is, he's really good at, if you look at his website, he has pictures of the back of logging trucks, and some of his paintings are in Cafe Caribou, but they're these large scale paintings that show the back of a logging truck, but it's so like beautiful. It's so like they're striking large scale images. So my first reaction was do something more like train related or logging truck related, something more like port related than helicopters. That I'm just one percent. So I wanted to get your impressions. And then if collectively we think human needs to go in a different direction and kind of like it, what do you like about it? If you're not sure because you're just so cold, you can go home and get under a blanket.
I mean, just off, I think it would be cool, like have like the shrimp boat and recreational boat. Kind of shows the three, like one's very industrial, one's semi-industrial, one's pleasure. I don't know.
Do you like the way it looks almost transparent?
Sure.
Like, see, like, it's not, like, when you see it, this picture just on a page, it looks like a rainbow. It's not supposed to be a rainbow. It's supposed to look like the horizon sunset. That's why it looks that way.
Oh, I thought it was a rainbow.
Yeah.
Here you will.
Both-
Here you will.
Okay, so something more like,
Something more industrial, more 40. More 40. These are AI pelicans, I'm sure of it.
okay. So we'll go back to the drawing board. Pelicans are no, but you like the way it looks transparent? Do you like that? Like cranes? Would you like to see a train, a big train instead of pelicans?
Running over the, no,
He has some really good train paintings.
I don't even have to say, I don't care.
The ship.
I like it.
It's, it's,
Could put chopsticks there, it would look better.
Just have me look. Okay. Alright.
From Wicked Bow.
anything else?
Probably, but I should remember.
So just remind everyone, it's better here by 9:30.
Yeah.
We're gonna frostbite before that.
Alright, let's go on now.
except to say, the House passed the resolution. So 222 of that.
It's, yeah, it's not actually.
Vice Chair,
nothing, sir.
welcome back, glad you're
Yeah.
glad to hear.
Yes, very loud.
Glad to hear your wife and your family,
Very happy to hear.
And you still look good after, oh,
Yeah.
shoot, we've been here since 4:45.
Yeah, let's get over that hump. So,
All right, anybody have anything else?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
you back in, I just want to wish everybody a safe, and happy Thanksgiving.
Well,